Good morning. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the stream. This is another week of setting intentions, setting writing goals, making plans for the week ahead. I do these videos for two reasons. One, it's a way to be in process and conversation with myself, to be continually reflecting on my writing practice, my goals, my progress. You know, I have this as a document now, but most importantly, it helps me today in the present to each week try to fix one little thing, try to make some little tweak to my life as a writer so that I get to where I want to be, which is writing publishable short stories. If it's your first time here, my name's Asa Merritt. My background is in screenwriting and playwriting. I'm going to talk briefly about that in a second. The second reason I do these streams every Monday morning is to be in community with other writers. I love the idea of just, a handful of us, dozens of us, hundreds of us writers working hard together, sharing sort of space, even if it's digital, setting intentions towards creating amazing work in this challenging world where it's challenging to live and challenging to make art. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we're here together. Let me know in the chat if you're here. If I can find my chat, hopefully I can pull it up here shortly. Anyway, so that is the little introduction about why these little weekly Monday morning streams exist. Again, if it's your first time here, Asa, I wrote a show for Audible called Six Sermons starring Stephanie Hsu. I've been a working writer for a long time. I've worked in journalism, I've worked across the board, but now I'm writing fiction. And it feels really fresh, it feels really new. I'm coming in as a beginner to this form. And that's been a real thrill. So that's kind of the context of who I am as a writer and context for the kind of goals that I've been making and the kind of practices that I've been trying to put into place. So every week, I try to come through with just like one big idea to focus on that week, to kind of target my attention so that I can really see change. We all know what it's like to have a zillion different goals out there and kind of like a staggering array of expectations. And I have lots of those for myself. I'm going to go through my writing goals for the week and the reading goals for the week. But I try to say, okay, hey, listen, if you do one thing or have kind of one gesture of intention for the week, what is it going to be? Last week, it was to protect my writing time a little bit more, make it a little more focused, concentrated, sacred, if you will. Just try to create circumstances of writing that I could write more deeply, write more meaningfully. And I got, trying that out helped a lot. But this week, my big idea is actually going to be a really simple, small idea. And I'm trying to get more concrete with that so that it's a little more implementable. That's a great, grand idea. Oh yeah, protect your writing time. But concretely what this looks like is I just got this new day job. It's an amazing job. I'm helping out with a really powerful organization that's doing really good work. It's like an NGO. And I'm writing for them and it's awesome. But most of the team that I work with is on the other side of the world. They're in the UK or Africa and Asia, and they are all working so much by the time that I get up, and I have this instinct to go online, to work, to kind of like jump on Slack, if you know Slack, that work platform, and just like get to it. And then the thing is, like, if I do that, some of my best energy goes towards that rather than my writing. So my simple big idea for the week is to not resist doing that, not log into that until 9, protect the time beforehand, just don't be thinking about it. And so we're gonna see if I can stick to that. I do videos at the end of the week also that are kind of vloggy and like updatey and processy like this one. So we'll see, you'll hear from me then. But that's my big idea for the week. On the writing front, as I said, I'm pursuing short stories. I've got a couple short stories in the mix. On Friday afternoon, my friend Sarah Ray Werner and I did a live stream about writing Christmas horror. That was really fun. Got together with some other writers who hang out on the channel and jammed a little bit, writing some creepy, weird Christmas horror. And I came out of that writing sprint session with a draft of something that I feel really good about. It's simple, it's short. I can already feel the sort of experience of it as a reader. I can feel the scope. It comes with a very clear story, dramatic spine that I can apply. So I'm really going to continue with that. I'm also going to continue with Not Everyone is Cut Out for the Snake Show, which is this weird Wild West story that I've been chipping it away at. If you've been following along, it's a full-length short story. I think Santa Has No Secrets, which is the tentative title of the Christmas horror piece, is going to be short, 1,500 words, something like that. This other Weird Wild West story is longer, but it's harder. And that's what I want to talk about, this idea of story math. I feel like that story's getting to a good place. I think it is coming together. It has important, the themes are ambitious. It's about mortality. It's about this person at the end of their life passing on a tradition that's dear to them and they don't know how to give it up. So I really love this story and want to continue with it, but it is a more challenging piece than this other story that I'm working on, Santa Has No Secrets. And there's this concept called like the math of the story that I picked up from a screenwriting podcast that I used to listen to all the time called The Screenwriting Life. The host is this woman, Meg LaFoe, who wrote Inside Out. Solid podcast if you want kind of efficient craft lessons. In any event, she talks about story math and how there are some stories that have easy story math and some stories that have hard story math. And on the easy side is that there's a really large distance. The arc that a character covers in the movie is far. So, for example, if you go from a non-athlete to the star of the football team, that's a big arc. It's like a zero to hero. It's a very clear, tangible material. The story math is relatively simple. It's like you start out with a scrawny kid who doesn't think they can do it, who starts training, who finds confidence, who loses the big game but comes back. We know this. Whereas hard story math is when the distance between where the story starts and ends is much shorter, and the arc is much narrower and finer. So an example offhand might be something like, someone is sitting down at a pond to catch a fish, but their ultimate goal is to finish a note to a sweetheart while they're sitting there on the lake. This is a really, really rough paraphrase of this cool Korean movie I saw a year ago or so. And it's just narrower, right? It's much more intimate. And so it's challenging. The beats of that story are going to be, you have to really find them. We all know the beats of that football story I just said, right? We all know that. So Santa Has No Secrets falls into that former category. It's I got this. This is a clear narrative. And so I'm excited about working on that story this week, in addition to Not Everyone is Cut Out for the Snake Show, because I just am confident that I'm going to be able to find traction, get to the end, execute this story. So that's story math, a cool thought. In the mix, submitting, I need to send out 2 stories. Mr. Editor is a story that I submitted to the Flash Fiction Weird Wild West competition that some of y'all participated in. It was not a winner, so now that piece is back in the mix. So I now have these 2 Weird Wild West stories that I'm working on, and the Flash Fiction piece, it's time to get back into the slipstream, as it were, send it out for submission. And then Sam is my little ghost love story. I did submit that last week, thanks to a big push from someone on the channel. I appreciate you. And so that is out in the mix. Status of Sam is awaiting reply. My reading for the week, another consideration, I almost thought about making this the big idea, was to focus on reading more deeply. I think that's a cool, concrete idea that I could pursue, and that is something that I want to start pursuing more. So you'll see up there on the upper left-hand corner of the books is a novel. It's called Alice at the Fire, which you can't really see the title there. So I read this novel last week and absolutely loved it. Hi, Mateo. Bienvenido. Welcome. Good to see you. And I read this novel. It blew my mind. And so what I'm trying to do, or the gift I'm trying to give myself, is to kind of engage with that story one more time, because it was so rich and it was dense. It was highly literary. It was written in kind of a non-traditional stream of consciousness form. There aren't sentences in that story. You can see my vlog from Saturday if you want to kind of see what I mean more deeply. But in any event, the point is, in terms of this week's reading, is that I loved it, and I want that story to leave a mark. If it's like a stick and poke tattoo, you know, because I think at some level that story is part of me now. Now I want to like go to the shop and get it like clear those lines and make it even part of me deeper, because I just found it to be a really powerful story. So I'm going to listen to the audiobook. That's Samantha Schweblin's story, my hero, the Argentine literary, weird horror fiction writer. That story actually did not become available till last night, so I'm going to be reading that this week. Book clubs. If you're new to the channel, we do 2 story clubs on this channel with my friend Sarah. On Wednesdays, we're working our way through this collection, this anthology of science fiction stories, edited by Jeff Vandermeer of the Southern Reach trilogy, which you may know. And on Thursdays, we're working our way through The Dark Descent, another anthology of short fiction. And this week in The Dark Descent, we're hitting a classic, The Call of Cthulhu by H.P. Lovecraft. I've never read this story. I've been deliberately avoiding summaries, analysis. I want to go in cold, and try to let this story wash over me, engage with it on my own terms, in my own imagination, all that good stuff. I also plan, though, on reading it multiple times before Story Club on Thursday, because I just know, there's going to be a lot to say. Folks going to be coming in with a lot of opinions. So that's what that story is down there at the bottom right. You know, it's The Dark Descent is the name of the collection for Story Club. Bottom right there in orange is called Cthulhu, which is this week's offering. So in the comments, welcome folks. Hey Mateo, hey all. Hope you're having a great Monday. Yes, happy Monday. It's the beginning of the week. So here's this thing that I'm just gonna like plant the seed here. I created this like thing called SpeakPipe, where you can send me DMs, or like voice memos rather. And I know it's a very scary thing to hear your voice on air, as it were. But if anyone wants to share your goals, I'd be glad to listen to them. If you just indicate, hey, don't share this, I still will give them my attention. And if you do want to share them, you know, moving forward, that's something I kind of want to jam with, per this like thought that I started at the beginning of the stream, which is just to kind of be in community with writers, set collective intentions, all that good stuff. Have I read more Lovecraft, asked Mateo. I don't know if you're asking myself, Laura, or me. In any event, I've read one story. I read, The Massacre at Red Hook, because there is this companion piece called, what is it called? Here it is. There's this companion piece called The Ballad of Black Tom, written by Victor Laval. And I was curious to read these two in pairing, because Victor Laval, is a black writer, who is deeply inspired by Lovecraft, but has had to sort of reckon with this guy's deeply racist tendencies. So I thought that would be a cool exercise to read both of them together, which it in fact was. But outside of that, Massacre at Red Hook, something at Red Hook in New York City, I have not read Lovecraft. So everybody, on the learning front, I'm not going to work on the life writing class this week. Weird and eerie. I want to keep it simple this week. I'm not going to I think I find that as another way that I personally procrastinate, is kind of like learn about writing instead of write or read, which is great and essential, but also is a way of procrastinating. But however, I do want to return to this literary criticism piece, The Weird and the Eerie by Mark Fisher, because he has a chapter about Lovecraft. So again, kind of going deep on the Lovecraft front, I hope to at least finish the week with some kind of feeling of survey in terms of what this is. And then moving forward, kind of in my own journey as a weird fiction writer, horror writer, we'll see what that emerges as. I'm sure that I'll engage with this person's work more and more and more. That is a great exercise, Asa. I might do that as well. Yeah, it was cool, and they're both short. All right, folks. I think that's what I got. I think that's what I got for you. Everyone, have a great week. Just to reiterate, opportunities on the channel this week to get involved, to be together in work, in art. Tomorrow afternoon, I don't know when exactly, but I'll probably do one of my kind of work sesh live streams. And again, on Wednesday, we have science fiction book club, story club rather. The story this week is called Mechanopolis by Miguel de Unamuno. I think it's in translation. I don't know where this writer is from. That is the story for Sci-Fi Story Club. And as I said, this one, if you haven't bought the collection yet, The Dark Descent, you can find The Call of Cthulhu, certainly online. Both of those are currently scheduled for 3 p.m. Eastern. All right, and Mateo, yeah, sometimes da-da-da-da. I'm just like, let me record a video. Exactly, right. And then you spend like, Mateo here is also on AuthorTube. By the way, Mateo is a writer who has a YouTube channel, and I feel you on that, because then it's like you record the video, you edit the video, all of a sudden you're like, well, there went today. So that's why I'm jamming on these live streams, because it's like, this is me, take it or leave it, here I am, let's go. It's the beginning of the week. So I'm gonna leave you on that thought, y'all. Love you, mean it.